NASCAR on Speed Fast Friday continues with NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying for Saturday night's 400-lapper at Richmond International Raceway. 45 cars at the ready for Sprint Cup qualifying, presented by Golden Corral. 45 cars for 43 spots, and it continues to warm up. We're up to 71. When practice began earlier today, 61 degrees, a little less of a breeze and less clouds in the sky. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Richmond. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip with you once again. Mark Martin, Greg Biffle, Clint Boyer, Joey Logano, they were fast in practice. Will it be one of them or somebody else who grabs the pole today?
You know, it's kind of a crapshoot, really. Believe it or not, you got to have a strategy for qualifying. You got to make up your mind. Am I going to go for it on the first lap? Am I going to try to make that my fast lap? Or am I going to maybe get that first one in the books and then really go for the second lap? Am I going to run a high line? Am I going to run a low line? How am I going to come to the green? A lot of things you have to consider when you get ready to qualify.
You have answers for all those questions, right? We'll get to that in a little bit.
I will tell you when I see it.
Now, nationwide qualifying just completed. Most of the fastest laps, Larry, were turned by drivers on their second of two laps.
Well,
first or second lap?
Yeah, I think we'll see a mixed bag there, Mike, because so much has to do with where you start your air pressure. Now, I think as we get on into this session, it's probably going to be on that second lap. But my strategy, I have to be a salesman to my driver. Yeah, we had 2 hours and 45 minutes of practice. What I have to convince him that this car is going to have more grip in this qualifying session than you had all day long. I think especially when we get to some of those drivers that you were talking about that's going to go late in the session.
Are you buying that? You're going to have more grip in qualifying than you did at noontime?
He's always selling me something. So.
I've never led you astray.
No, I never have.
All right, we'll run for the pole in Richmond this evening for tomorrow night's race as cars continue to cycle through inspection. Pole runs begin right after this. Stephen Light at the ready to qualify the number 33 Link-Belt Chevrolet. And just waiting for all of the track equipment and personnel to be in position so we can begin. Richmond International Raceway is somewhat unique in the Sprint Cup Series. It's a D-shaped short track, 3/4 of a mile, 14-degree bank in the turns. You're looking at the 8-degree bank on the front stretch. Someone called it a curve-away rather than a straightaway. I think I'll stick with D-shaped.
I like sweeper myself. She's a big sweeper.
And so Asheville, North Carolina, Stephen Light comes out to make what would be his second Richmond start. He finished 24th here last September and has 71 nationwide series starts under his belt.
He really searched for speed during both of our practice sessions. That's the reason he's the first driver to go out. He was the slowest in that first practice session we had earlier today. Has to qualify on time.
Yeah, guys had a pretty limited number of tires. Don't know how many good qualifying efforts they got to put in. I think some of these guys may surprise us, Larry, as to how quick they run when they put new tires on.
It's Little Joe's Auto Sales on the hood for Little Joe Falk, who is taking over the ownership of this number 33 from Richard Childress. And 21:57 first lap.
And that right there is what I'm talking about. That's almost a second quicker, or almost close to a second quicker than he practiced. He was 22-23 in practice.
Yeah, that would have put him in the top 15 in the first practice, but we anticipate every driver is going to pick up substantial time from what we practiced earlier, just we have more grip.
That was a pretty good looking lap. Just based on watching the car.
Second lap a little bit slower. Travis Kvapil and Jeff Burton come out. Now Reed Sorensen will run next. He is locked into the show in the Virginia Faith and Freedom Coalition Register to Vote Ford number 32. He has 9 Cup starts here with a best of 5th.
Now, he and Stephen Light ran identical times in that first practice session of 22-23. Everybody was a bit slower in the second practice because the track temperature had definitely heated up.
First lap for Sorensen, 21.84, about a quarter second slower than Stephen Light, but once again, this car is locked into the race for tomorrow night.
Something we'll have to kind of see if there's a pattern that develops. Normally, your first lap would be your fastest, but depending on air pressure and things of that nature, I mean, there's a chance you could pick up on your second lap.
Just like he did.
Yep, 21.70 for Reed Sorensen. Bobby Labonte and J.J. Yaley next. The first of 26 career poles for Bobby Labonte came right here. He was driving for Junior Johnson in the Maxwell House Ford in 1993 when he won the pole. He's fastest now with a 21.47 in the Bush's Baked Beans Toyota.
Looks like he may be working on better than his first lap.
That'll make old Duke happy.
Nice lap, 21.27. Labonte picks it up 2/10 on his second lap. Chris Devoda.
With Matt Kenseth, who is inside the race car, and the short track program for you guys has really come along this year. You've won here, but it's been a little while. Can you do it this weekend?
It's been a decade. That's more than a little while. So
I wasn't going to say that, but
so far, I mean, you know, we got some work to do tonight, and hopefully we get a halfway decent lap today. But this has been not a very good day for us. We've been extremely slow. We just can't get our car to turn and just don't have any speed in it. So hopefully it'll be a little better qualifying, and we'll put our heads together tonight and hopefully come up with something for tomorrow.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Krista. J.J. Yaley next up. Yaley, Toyota, struggled for speed in practice. He has 7 starts here, no top 20 starts, but has one 10th place finish when he was driving for Joe Gibbs.
Darryl, would you say this 3/4 mile track, from a driver's standpoint, I know I used to work with Mike Skinner so much on this. There's such a fine line between underdriving and overdriving the race car.
Yeah, when you overdrive, you have to use a lot of brake. And when you're hard on those brakes, you're slowing the car down, obviously, and that's where your speed goes. Plus, the car won't turn. You overdrive the corner, you got to use heavy brake to get it slowed down. Your foot's on the brake, you're trying to get it to cut. It's funny how quickly it'll cut when you let off the brake.
Yeah.
But that's the battle you have here. Driving in hard enough to get good speed, but don't overdrive.
This looks like it could be a better lap for J.J. Yaley. The first lap he looked like he was pretty hard into turn number 1, and he does pick it up, but at 22.03 he is still the slowest of 4. Let's check with Matt Yoakum.
The former champ Bobby Labonte qualified 14th here a year ago. And Bob, how would you describe your day today here at Richmond?
Started off kind of slow, and we didn't start off in qualifying trim. We started off in race trim. Went to qualifying trim. We were just way too tight, so then we didn't make any more runs. We got the car way better. Guys did a great job on the second practice, but you know, track temperature just kept going up. We didn't make any more Q runs, so heck, I don't know.
Good luck tomorrow night, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
David Gilliland, the Long John Silver's Ford, has one top 25 start and one top 20 finish in 11 Richmond races.
Also, the other telltale sign, folks, is at home, just listen. When they're out of the throttle for a long time, rolling through the middle of the corner, you're just not going to make very good time around here.
21.69 the first lap, third quickest of 5. And he is locked in to the race tomorrow night.
You know, Darryl and I were talking during commercial break. Of course, we're going to have a couple more go-homers here shortly. But that little lap Stephen Light laid down at 21.57, pretty good lap for him.
All I know is the car looked pretty stable, and he got a lot out of it.
Dave Blaney, Scott Speed, and Cole Witt coming up. American Ethanol says their studies show that corn ethanol is cleaner than conventional gasoline. Tony Stewart, the Office Depot Mobil 1 Chevrolet. He has 26 starts here, 1 from the outside of the front row, and 3 victories, all pretty early in his career when he drove for Joe Gibbs. Named his dog Richmond after he got a win here.
Said this is not one of his favorite tracks. It is his favorite track.
And you named yours Fontana because?
Just because it sounded cool.
Oh, okay. Third for Stewart on his first lap, 21.30.
I named mine Trusty Boy because he is a trusty boy.
There you go.
You know, next Thursday night, Mike, Tony's going to be honored at the International Motorsports Hall of Fame as the 2011 Driver of the Year. Pretty cool inductees. Richard Childress, Kenny Bernstein, and John Force, the 3 inductees next Thursday night.
Yep, great ceremony.
I wonder if there's anything he's ever driven that he didn't win in. I mean,
sorry, bud. I screwed us up there. I'll let you know when we get there.
There's not much he's driven this year that he hadn't won in. He's won a bunch of dirt track races this year already.
In his sprint car, wing and unwing, and the midget. He won here last night in the late model race. Guy can drive anything. Indy car.
Anything. You bet. Jumped in a modified one night at Thompson, Connecticut. He wanted to run the feature after he had fun in the match race. They started in dead last. He'd never seen the track. He'd never driven that car. He ran a line nobody'd ever seen. He won. How about Landon Castle, the 22-year-old from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, had a great practice session, was in second practice up in the top 10. See what the Burger King Toyota can do.
Larry, before we race here tomorrow night, I got to go down there on the track and see what's causing these cars to snap loose in that same spot every time off turn 4. There's got to be a crack in the track sealer, something, because it's just consistently same spot.
Yeah, late exit, but look at this second lap by Landon Castle. Great lap.
Third fastest, 21:29. He pipped Stewart by 1/100th for third place. Last year's pole sitter here in Richmond, the Target Chevrolet of Juan Pablo Montoya, will be our next qualifier.
You know,
front row starts here.
It's interesting, Larry. Some teams make a crew chief change. It's magic. Think about Denny Hamlin and Darian Grubb. Other teams make a crew chief change. It just doesn't seem to work. It doesn't. They can't get on the same page.
And you're talking about Montoya, you know, made the crew chief change. Chris Heroy comes over from Hendrick Motorsports, but there was a lot of upper management changes made there too during the off season.
And even Jeff Burton with Blickensderfer, you know, they're still searching, look to me like. So some of it, sometimes it's magic and other times it's mystery.
Montoya picks up a 10th on his second lap. He is now third behind Dave Blaney and Bobby Labonte. Josh Wise in the number 26, trying to make his first Cup start at Richmond. Finished top 40 at Kansas and is 40th in points with 11 Cup starts. Rookie contender.
Good shoe right here. Good little driver.
Needs to beat a 21.807. That's what Scott Riggs ran earlier.
Morristown Driver Service Ford. With Riggs and Yaley in the bottom 2. See if Wise can put himself in the field, and it looks like he will do so handily.
Yeah, I love what he did, Mike. I heard it. I mean, he rolled out of the throttle way early getting into 3, but man, did he jump back into before he even got to the center of the turn of 3 and 4.
Missed the top 10 by 100th. Wise is 11th and looked in the backstretch like he could be faster this lap.
Yeah, he looks like he's definitely going to pick it up. He's going to get to the top 10.
Yep. 9th fastest. 3/100ths picks him up 2 positions.
Yeah, from a 4.44 to a 4.11, and that picked him up 3 spots. That's how close.
Tony Stewart's a hands-on owner driver.
That's what owners do. They kind of do it all.
Travis Kvapil goes out 20th. He started second row here in his second trip. How about Dave Blaney still at the top of the board?
Yeah, I mean, we have some big guns coming, but we're awfully close to halfway through this qualifying session, and he's hanging tough in there.
Kvapil in the Burger King Toyota, born of the former Red Bull team, BK Racing, with Kvapil and Castle. Castle now 4th fastest with a 21:29, and Kvapil's not going to get there on lap 1. He'll be 14th with a 21:50.
That's actually quite a bit quicker than Landon Castle ran on his first lap, though. About a 1/10.5 quicker.
True.
I'm sure they're probably sharing the information. That's, if he does pick up, that's usually a product of just kind of a little bit lower air pressure, knowing you're going to run 2 laps and try to make the second one a little quicker.
Picks it up to 8th with a 21:36. Picks up 14/100ths of a second on his second lap. Tomorrow night, immediately following Fox's coverage of the Sprint Cup race, turn to Speed for comprehensive post-race coverage. NASCAR Victory Lane, JR, Kenny, and Kyle celebrate with the winner, debate and analyze all the action, and catch you up with the key players. NASCAR Victory Lane immediately following the race on Fox. It's right back here on Speed. Kurt Busch driving the unsponsored number 51 for James Finch.
We interviewed him earlier, and he talked about the good run they had going in Kansas. I don't like to see any driver have engine issues, but my heart did go out to Kurt Busch and his team. They ran in the top 10 all day long and had those late engine issues.
He led 185 laps and won here in the fall of 2005 for Jack Roush. First lap, 8th.
Larry, you talking about engine issues last week? I heard drivers say they were turning close to 10,000 RPM last week.
Oh, this could be top of the board for Kurt Busch. Yes, 21-20.
Nice job, bud. 34's in a 20 P1 right now.
He takes the pole from Dave Blaney by 6/100ths of a second. Welcome back to Sprint Cup qualifying presented by Golden Corral. Joe Nemechek is the next to last of the go or go homers. Scott Riggs and J.J. Yaley the bottom two as the AM/FM Energy Toyota makes its run. He's got to beat Riggs 21.80 to lock in.
Right now, he's just barely to the left-hand side of that red stripe that's Scott Riggs.
It's going to be okay.
He's in. Nemechek 16th with a 21.55, and that sends J.J. Yaley home. Nemechek started outside pole and won here for Rick Hendrick in 2003. Second lap could be a little quicker.
Yeah, he's looking a little better on this lap. Actually, got into turn 3 very nicely.
Picks it up to 14th with a 21.44. Krista?
Walking along with Dale Jr. and his team. Dale helping the crew push the car. That second practice was very fast for you. Is that an indicator of what we're going to see?
Oh, I don't know. You know, the car was really good. We were really, really happy. We made some great changes and had a lot of speed. So we weren't very good here last year and never really was very happy with the car in practice. So at least we got that going for us. I'm not sure how we're going to qualify. We made a couple runs and they look pretty good compared to the competition, but you just never know till you get out there. This track is more temperature sensitive than any other track. We were, 21.80 was fast in practice, and now, it's going to be in the 20s to get the pole, I think.
All right, we'll wait and see. Thanks, Dale.
Thanks, Krista. Kyle Busch has won the Richmond Spring Race the last 3 years in a row. He did it from 14th on the grid. He did it from the pole, and last year he won from 20th starting spot. He has 1 pole win here and 3 victories.
Well, right now it's the Busch boys holding down the front row.
Kurt by 4/100ths. Kyle second.
He's working on trying to top his brother Kurt, though. You can see there with the tracker and the difference in time off of Kurt.
And the M&M's Toyota goes to the top. 21.10 for Kyle Busch.
Pole here last year was a 20.98. I'm thinking we're going to get down close to 20.
I think we'll have some drivers running the 20s.
Yeah.
Matt?
Well, my conditions might not have allowed Kurt Busch to hit ludicrous speed, but still pretty fast. But you're quoting movies on your way in about your day?
Yeah, I messed up on my nationwide qualifying effort with the Monster Energy car. And like on Dumb and Dumber, just when you go and do something totally stupid, you do this to go totally redeem yourself. And it's just a tough combination, because I haven't done much double duty through my career. And the nationwide, that was my first time on a short track. And I drove into turn 1 and forgot to lift. So with the James Finch special, that was a good lap for us. We struggled today during practice, but all in all, to put this effort together, it'll be okay. And we're still out there searching for sponsorship, right here. Quarter panels blank, hoods blank, and James Finch is putting it out of his pocket.
If you've got some money, they've got some paint they'll put on the side.
Thanks, Matt. Casey Kane, the Farmers Insurance Chevrolet for Rick Hendrick, 7th on the first lap. Kane got his first win here from the pole in 2005. And he goes to P2, second fastest, 21.16.
And Casey doing some double duty. He'll be driving in the Nationwide Series race later on tonight.
Your mates talk it over?
Yeah, Jeff's in. How are they going that fast anyway?
Keep talking about Hendrick Motorsports' 200th win of those 199. Those two guys right there represents 140 of them combined.
And I tell you, don't be surprised if one of them doesn't end up pretty close to the pole tonight.
Mike Bliss is our last go-or-go-homer. He was the fastest of those cars in practice, in opening practice. He has one top 10 start here and one top 5 finish in 8 Cup races. He has to beat the red line, which is J.J. Yaley. Uh-oh.
Locked him up getting in there.
Looks like he's still going to be okay, DW.
Yeah, he got back in the gas. Even though he locked it up and slid in there a little bit, he got back in it in a hurry. He knew he'd messed up, had to make up for it.
Matches his car number, 19th fastest. That bumps J.J. Yaley.
And if I'm not mistaken, I just think back to what Kurt Busch just said. Mike Bliss just came out of qualifying a Nationwide Series car. You almost wonder if the same thing didn't happen there.
Whoa!
He almost wall slapped it with that one.
That might have been it. Might have wanted to just quit after that first one.
Bliss, 19th, will race tomorrow night. Scott Riggs and J.J. Yaley are the 2 drivers bumped. Big slide for Mike Bliss. Jamie McMurray, the McDonald Chevrolet, started outside pole here last fall. His best Richmond start. He has 3 top 10 finishes here.
Yeah, he just really went into turn 1, and the car never really turned. Took off up the hill. We'll see if he can. Well, it's up there again. Same thing. Second verse.
But you saw that tracker went all the way to the pole getting in the corner into turn 1.
Really charged down in there, but it's washed out with him a little bit.
24th on the second lap. This will be better. 18th. 21:48 for McMurray. Matt.
Mike, our current pole sitter, just finished a debrief with his Nationwide Series driver explaining his lap. How about yours in the Cup car? How would you describe it?
Well, I put it in a hammer, so I'm not as good as Kurt quoting movies. He's a hell of a lot better than I am. I only know Days of Thunder. That's about it. But
does he surprise you with his prolific quotes?
He does, yes. Sometimes he says something and I'm like, what is he talking about? And somebody else will know exactly what he's talking. I guess I don't watch enough movies. I don't know. But no, our M&M's Camry was pretty decent there. You know, about as I expected. I wanted a little bit more than that, but we'll see kind of where it lines us up. But you know, happy to be back in Richmond. This is one of our best places. Excited to come back here, try to get something going this year, and you know, put ourselves in victory lane. M&M's has got a sweet new promotion going on right now that you know, if we win, the fans will win. They'll get a chance to win a Toyota Camry. So everybody go pick up their M&M's bags of product, enter the UPC code at mms.com, and you'll be entered for a chance to win. So we'll see how qualifying stacks up here, but hopefully it's good.
Carl Edwards to the top of the board with the second lap on the Ford EcoBoost Fusion. 21:04.
Yeah, and as I was watching Carl, we got a shot of him, you know, looking in the windshield. You can see his hands. We'll watch him come off turn 4 here. The reason he was so fast, watch his hands. Nice. Elbows up. There's what elbows up look like. Nice and smooth, not fighting the wheel, in the gas wide open. See how Jack likes. Yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Runner up here last fall is Edwards. Marcus Ambrose in the Stanley DeWalt number 9 from Richard Petty Motorsports has one top 5 finish here in 6 Richmond starts.
And he put a whole new meaning to loose off most of those 2 practice sessions. Real bad loose off turn 4.
They had to do a little cosmetic wrap, a little tape on the right rear corner of that car. First lap 21:33, 12th quickest.
Buried that tracker getting into 1, but the times are so close up there. You know, it's easy to get it going to pole when you drive in and to see what it does coming off.
He's definitely gaining on it on this second lap.
A little bit better, yeah.
He becomes the 6th driver in the 21:20s. 21:21 for Ambrose, 5th quickest. Casey Mears, 18 Cup races at Richmond, 1 second row start and 1 top 10 finish for Casey.
First lap for Casey, 21:59, only 24th quickest this 13 group.
Well, he was 17th in the first practice session.
Definitely going to be a huge improvement. Jumps up to 13th to a 21:34. He picked up a good 2.5 tenths from lap 1 to lap 2.
Here's Krista.
Denny Hamlin earlier today said you're only as good as your last race. So would that be last night or that last winning in Kansas?
I'm terrible then. 2 first lap wrecks in one day is not good, but we got it strong today. Our day was pretty strong over on the nationwide side. Obviously qualifying second. Our cup car was, pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. So we've got some tuning to do on it, but I think we'll be pretty competitive come tomorrow night.
Thanks, Denny.
Thanks, Krista. Regan Smith, the Denver Mattress. Furniture Row Chevrolet started outside pole here last spring, finished 17th.
Yeah, Denny's got to be real encouraged with Kyle sitting up there in second, and you can get some good quick information from Kyle about tire pressures and any other thing that you might be able to share before he goes out and makes his run. So looks like the Gibbs cars are pretty good this weekend.
Well, Regan Smith really looking good halfway through this second lap.
He was such a good little qualifier last year. I mean, this car was a threat for the pole every week.
Yeah, started outside pole here last year, 6th fastest for Regan Smith. Matt?
Mike, I think the Carl Edwards fast lap indicator goes to Jack Roush with not 4, but I think 5 fist pumps on the speed chart.
Yeah, Jack told me, well, we haven't been that good in qualifying for about the last month. And Jack said he has quit giving me advice because he thought that was part of it. But he hasn't said anything for about a month. So I said, hey, you got any advice? He says, no, sir. I want to be guilty of omission rather than commission. He said, so I'm not saying anything. I'm glad he's happy. We're pretty happy. That's a good lap. We got EcoBoost on the car. It's Ford EcoBoost. It's a great product. And hopefully this is the top 5, top 6 starting spot. We got a better race trim package than we do this qualifying trim. So I'm excited.
Mike?
Dale Earnhardt Jr., the National Guard Chevrolet, got into turn 1 well, didn't get off turn 2 all that well on this first lap.
We interviewed him just a little bit ago. Sounded unsure what he was going to really have in this 88 car for qualifying.
I think most of the time that's just how you start a qualifying run here. You're just never quite sure what you're going to get.
He has 1 front row start here and 3 victories. 21:30 on the first lap.
Getting over there now.
Going in the right direction big time.
Moving on up, 4th place for Junior.
Nice.
21:16.
Nice pickup.
We were talking earlier about just the consistency of Dale Earnhardt Jr. this year. Qualifying, but mainly the racing. His worst finish, 15th at Bristol. Just clicking those top 10s, top 5s off every week.
But you know what? Drivers like Dale Jr., all the great drivers, that first lap, okay, the car did this, so I have to adjust. I got to make a little change in how I enter the corner, how I pick up the throttle. That's what great drivers do, just like Jeff Gordon. He's one of the best at taking a car that's not exactly right, but you'd never know it.
Yep. Jeff Gordon, the DuPont Chevrolet, more poles than any active driver at this racetrack. He has 5. Richard Petty and Bobby Allison each have 8 pole positions here.
Whoa, that got up the hill with him a little bit there, and you can see it cost him. Whoa, and it's a little loose there off.
I know they've been fighting loose with Jeff Gordon's car all day long, but a pretty good first lap, 21:23, 8th quickest on lap 1.
Our little tracker buddy's gone nuts. He can't figure out. He said, well, he's in here somewhere. It's right along in here. No, let's see. Oh, he's over here.
So tight right in that area.
Yeah, there's 7 drivers in the 2120s, and Jeff Gordon breaks out of that group. 3rd fastest for Gordon with a 21:13. NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying presented by Golden Corral. Down to the final 13 drivers, beginning with Ryan Newman, the U.S. Army Chevrolet. Newman got a pole here in the fall of 2004 and a victory here in 03. Right there in the mid-teens. Whoa. Eased it in, power off.
His teammate Tony Stewart right now is 13th.
6th for Newman, 21:19.
Getting down in those low to 21s now with Edwards on pole 04. Got a 10, a 13, 2 16s. We'll see where Newman ends up here.
Yeah, right now he's going to be one of the first drivers in a while that doesn't pick up on lap 2. Actually slows down just a little bit.
Used her all up on that first lap, which was a pretty good first lap.
It was 6th fastest, 4th among the Chevrolets. We've got a Ford, a Toyota, and a Chevy on top of the board, Krista.
Well, Kyle Busch is that Toyota who qualified well. Denny Hamlin is positive. So what about the third Joe Gibbs Racing driver, Joey Logano? What do you have for us today?
We'll see. We unloaded with a lot of speed in qualifying trim, but then the track changed a lot throughout the day as it heated up. Now it started to cool back down. So this late draw is going to help us, I think, and hopefully it goes back to the way it was driving at the beginning of practice. We had a pretty good car then, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens with the Home Depot car here.
Okay, we'll be watching.
Kevin Harvick, the Jimmy John Chevrolet, has 1 pole here and 2 victories to go with it. He was 12th quickest in first practice. First lap is 11th for Harvick, 21:26.
Kevin's actually on the pole for the Nationwide Series race a little later on this evening.
Got it going in the right direction. See if he can hold it over there. He's flirting with the pole, looks to me like.
He's close.
Whoa.
No pole. 21:08.
Good job. Good job. P2.
Second fastest for Harvick.
He'll be pretty happy with that because he hadn't been very happy with that race car today.
Good lap. Matt?
Nice recovery for Jeff Gordon as well. What was the biggest challenge for you?
You know, just trying to guess from practice running during the day and guess what the bounce is going to be like when the track picks up this much speed as the track temperature goes down. It's, you know, obviously a very fast track and great run for our DuPont Chevrolet. You know, we needed that. We really want to qualify better. This is important. I still don't know where we're going to end up. I think there's a little bit too much gap between us and first right now, so you know that those gaps are going to be filled in, but all in all, still a really nice effort. Good, you know, the car drove good, and we've been needing that in qualifying, so good result.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
11th fastest in practice was the Napa Brakes Toyota for Martin Truex Jr., our point standing runner-up.
You know, we had the pleasure of sitting down with Martin for a little while this afternoon after practice, and we were all talking. 31 years old, but just has his head screwed on his shoulders so good. I mean, just very mature and just so confident right now.
And this car screwed down pretty good, too. It looked like top 5, and it is.
Yep.
21:14, second lap for Martin.
And of course we had to get that big chuckle out of him and us as well when remember this is where he fired his whole team last year.
Right.
And that was totally out of key. So well, everybody get it, you know, everybody lose their temper every now and then.
That's true. Krista?
Well, we know how important practice time is. Paul Menard in that backup car. Did you get enough out of practice to know what you're going to have in this qualifying session?
I mean, we did a mock run with the primary car, and we did not do one with this car, so we're not really sure what's going to happen, but we got driving a lot better. Felt like it was at the end of second practice. It was pretty comfortable. We just lost over half the practice because of that, but we'll be okay.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Krista. The FedEx Freight Toyota for Denny Hamlin. He's the hometown hero from nearby Chesterfield and has 2 poles and 2 victories here.
And he finished second to his teammate Kyle Busch in this race 1 year ago.
First lap 12th for Hamlin, 21:26.
Should be this just looks better. It sounds better. That time he was in the throttle. You could hear that thing really pulling hard up off the corner. If he can get out of here and not get loose, might have a little something to say about who's in the top 5, looks like.
And does. He bounces Truex out of the top 5 and is 5th, 21:13. Here's an American Ethanol Fast Fact. Denny Hamlin and Elliott Sadler are the only NASCAR drivers to have won in NASCAR's top 3 series who call Virginia their home state. Eric Almirola had a strong practice. This will be his first Cup start at Richmond. He has 5 nationwide starts here and comes in here 20th in the standings with the Smithfield Ford for Richard Petty.
He competed in the little Denny Hamlin short track showdown last night. Having a little fun in a late model car. First lap of 15th, 21:27.
Should have some more speed in that car based on how he practiced, but he just lost a whole bunch of it right there. That may have...
Good thing all he lost was speed, because he was right up on it.
About to lose a hind bumper.
9th for Almirola with a 21.18. And if he gave away a 10th, let's say, with that slide, he otherwise might have been on the front row. Brad Keselowski in the Miller Lite Dodge, 8th quickest in first practice. Started in top 10 all but one of his 5 Richmond appearances.
First lap 21.29 puts Brad 18th currently with 1 lap to go. Darrell, I was just looking at the separation. Carl Edwards right now on the pole, 21.04. You go back there, Casey Mears is 22nd at a 21.34. 3/10 separating the top 22 drivers.
Keselowski jumps to 14th, now a 21.26. Matt?
Kevin Harvick's Fast Friday trend continues. This place easy to overdrive the corners?
Yeah, I just got to thank everybody on my Jimmy John Chevrolet. We had a terrible second practice and put all the notes in from what they did last year, and that was our first laps on it. So I felt like I overdrove 1, but it stuck, and we're able to get through there pretty good. And I overdrove 3, and it was fine until I had to get out of the throttle coming up off of 4. So they've done a good job. We've still got a lot of work to do on decisions that we need to make for the race. But as good as they did here, this will give us a better baseline for that.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
A.J. Allmendinger, the Shell Pennzoil Dodge, started 3rd here for Richard Petty in the fall a year ago and finished 7th in this race last year.
Darrell, as he went down the back straightaway, it looked like he had his head ducked down. I get a feeling that the sun may be in these drivers' eyes now coming off 2 down the back stretch.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried about that, Larry, because we're qualifying right now, like where he is right now. You're looking straight into the sun when you exit turn 2. I was wondering if that was going to affect these guys, if they're going to get done before it got in their eyes, but looks like these last few guys are going to have to deal with that.
Well, he dealt with it pretty good on his second lap, 3rd quickest.
21.10, Allmendinger was going for another pole right there. 6 drivers to go in qualifying at Richmond, presented by Golden Corral. Jimmy Johnson in the Lowe's Chevrolet. 2 poles and 3 victories for Johnson, but none of either since 2008 here.
It's not going to be a very good first lap, what it's looking like so far. He has his 3 teammates in the top 10 right now. But Darrell, you talked about strategies. What they're going to do is he may be on that strategy, taking it easy on lap 1.
I believe that's what these boys are up to. Got that air pressure just a little bit lower. Let the car come to you on the second lap.
It's not getting there, though. It's certainly a better lap, but way, way off for Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, if that was their strategy.
And I didn't see the car out of shape anywhere.
No. 24th fastest for Johnson with a 21.35, and after practicing 6th, that's got to be quite a disappointment.
It's kind of like we said, Larry, if it feels good, you're probably not going real fast. If it feels bad, well, you may be up close to the pole.
Guess it wasn't all that good then. No, we'll be all right though.
I think what Jimmy was saying was, I didn't hear anything, so I'm assuming it wasn't very good.
Silence is not good on the radio.
Good, no.
Carl and Kevin have a word as they watch Joey Logano go by in the Home Depot Toyota.
Joey was pumping. He was pedaling that thing right before we see everybody get loose. He had to get out of it. He had to really pedal it.
It almost sounded like he shifted gears.
It did.
And Joey, who was 5th fastest in practice, this lap is not going to be what he hoped for.
You can see the back of the car is just not in the racetrack.
21st.
Whoa. The back of the car was almost into the wall. I don't know about the racetrack. He's not in good shape at all.
So we got a couple of drivers here that were in the top 10 in practice.
Whoa, man.
They're not even going to get in the top 15.
He just gets it into the wall.
Logano makes the top 20, 17th with a 21.27. 4 cars to go. Can Carl Edwards hang on to the pole? Here's Joey Logano.
Watch his hands. Watch his thing. Yikes! Yikes!
And we're down to the Fast Four. Here's the 5-Hour Energy Toyota for Clint Boyer, who started third in this race last year. He started top 5 the last 3 Richmond races and has 1 victory here.
Boy, Darrell, I don't know what's going on.
I don't either, Larry, but I was just fixing to say maybe the temperature has changed that much. Maybe the track temperature has really changed dramatically in these last little bit. The sun is going down, it's cooling off.
Yeah, I mean, Clint Boyer's going to join Joey Logano, Jimmy Johnson as being drivers that were quick in practice, and he ends up 22nd on his second lap.
Wow, things have changed. Let's check with Chris Devoda for this Armor All pit report.
Well, Mike, I have a theory. Here's the thing. At the start of this qualifying session, all the drivers talking about the pace of the racetrack, wondering how hard they could push it. And a lot of guys early were surprised at how much grip and speed they had. So possibly some of these guys who are going out later, who had the good practice times, are feeling a little overconfident, maybe thinking they can get more out of their race car. I just talked to A.J. Allmendinger. He also said the glare from the sun, pretty bad. He said it's not horrible, but there's that bump in 3, and you can't really find it. You can't find the line that you need because of that sun.
Oh. Right in the driver's face as they go down the back straightaway, and this is Paul Menard in a backup Menard Chevrolet.
And I don't know if we truly expect what Paul will run in this backup car, because that qualifying run, mock qualifying run he ran, was in that car before he crashed.
First lap 21:60. Boy, in the last 4 or 5 drivers, this track has really lost grip or somehow slowed down.
I think, Larry, we say this a lot. Tracks cool off, cars get looser. It doesn't make sense, but we've seen that a lot this last year or so.
29th for Menard, who will have to go to the tail end of the field for the start of the race tomorrow night because he's in the backup car.
Thank you.
Carl Edwards signing, Jack Roush running the stopwatch. 2 to go.
Yeah, the last driver that we had that qualified in the top 10, that was in the top 10 in practice, was 8 drivers ago, and that would have been Denny Hamlin, who right now is 6th.
Greg Biffle's 3M Ford was 2nd fastest in practice. He has a pole here and a best finish of 3rd. Tuesday night at Charlotte, big free event to preview the All-Star race. The first time they ran the All-Star race under the lights. They're going to play that on the big screen, and they're going to have a panel. Larry's coming. I'll be there to talk about that one hot night. Boy, was it ever.
Yeah, Robin Pemberton will be there. He was Kyle Petty's crew chief, and then they're going to bring in a different view, Matt Kenseth, that's going to join us, I think, on this panel.
And for the fans, it's all free, so come on out to Charlotte Motor Speedway this coming Tuesday evening to help preview the Sprint All-Star race.
This track has definitely gone through some sort of transition here, Larry. We've said it a number of times. It doesn't make sense, but the track cools and the cars get loose. We've seen that a lot.
And nobody's sliding around as if there's moisture or anything on the track. Just doesn't seem to be any grip as Greg Biffle times in 27.
Yeah, because right now Carl Edwards is on the pole, and he went about mid-pack of our drivers in this qualifying session.
Wonder what Jack Roush is thinking. Here goes Mark Martin, who drove for Jack for a long, long time. They're very dear friends. And he's got a shot here, Mark does, at knocking Carl off the pole.
Mark has 4 poles here and 1 here for Jack Roush in 1990.
Pretty smooth off turn 2 right there. Got back to it.
Pretty sporty first lap right now. Real good first lap. It just keeps getting better on lap 1.
Almost. Second fastest 21:05 to Edwards 21:04. So close.
This will be one of those cases. Did he use everything that was there on lap 1?
I really think he did, Larry. It just doesn't seem like he got into 3 quite as good as he did the first lap.
Oh, quicker. Got him. Oh, 21:04 with an O for Martin.
Got him.
21:04 with a 6 for Carl Edwards, and Mark Martin wins the Coors Light pole. Takes it away from Carl Edwards on the last lap.
That had to,
wow.
That had to hurt. Oh, that had to hurt.
Well, so much for the track going away.
Yeah, right. New theory.
What a run. That's an 0.40 to 0.46.
Now, pretty classy by Carl Edwards to go out there and be the first to congratulate Mark Martin.
What you run, you know? Do you know what you ran? Do you know what you ran? Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know. Damn! It was enough, though. Thank you, buddy.
I don't know what you ran, but you beat me. That's all I know.
21.040 for Mark Martin, 21.046 for Carl Edwards, and Mark Martin has just won his 53rd career pole. How about that?